That you have to mention your qualified number in the given box. Yes. తర్వాత మీకు స్టూడెంట్ సిగ్నేచర్ ఉన్నది విత్ డేట్. నెక్స్ట్ రెగ్యులేషన్ 23 CIE1 program detail first year person branch name of the course and name of the course code ఇక్కడ మెన్షన్ చేసింటారు చూడండి. Name of the course code. Particular question paper మీద ఉంది. అర్థమైందా? Okay, after that question paper మీద first hall ticket number mention right. All of you write your hall ticket number on your question paper. Okay, question paper మీద ఏది రాయకూడదు, ఏదైనా మీకు కంట్రోల్ చేసుకోవాలి అంటే అడిషనల్ తీసుకొని చేసుకుంటే లాస్ట్ లో ట్యాగ్ చేయండి. ఓకేనా? కలర్ తిప్పుకండి, వేరే క్వశ్చన్ చేస్తాం. ఫస్ట్ వీక్ ఏంటి?
Hello, sir. Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am, it is audible.
Good afternoon to everyone. Is my voice audible?
It
Yes,
is
madam.
audible.
Yes, your voice is
So a
audible.
warm welcome to day 3 of our 2-week online FDP on the art and science of successful proposal writing, techniques, strategies, and best practices. On day 1, we gained valuable insights into the fundamentals of proposal writing, and yesterday we focused on understanding the significance of a systematic literature review in identifying research gaps. Building on this strong foundation, today's session will emphasize the vital next step, research design and methodology. Framing clear objectives, formulating hypotheses, and selecting the appropriate methodology are essential for developing a technically strong and fundable proposal. A well-designed methodology not only guides the efficient execution of the research, but also enhances the evaluation and credibility of the proposal. We are once again privileged to have with us Dr. Arun Y. Patil, Assistant Director, Innovation and Incubation, and Associate Professor at Manipal Institute of Technology, Bengaluru, to deliver this important session. I must mention, sir, that we received an overwhelming amount of positive feedback from participants after yesterday's session. They truly appreciated your clarity, patience, and the way you addressed each query so elaborately.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your enthusiastic participation throughout the FTP. We look forward to yet another enriching learning experience today. I request all the participants here to please turn off their videos because this may cause distraction. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, madam.
Sir
Once
Arun,
again,
sir.
yeah. Is my voice is audible? I think.
Yes, sir.
You're audible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, thank you, Swapna madam, for making the yesterday's entire session worth by taking your words, and I feel much in a position like it gives me a lot of pleasure as well as interest to work towards this for this second session. So without wasting much of the time, I would like to share my screen and try to connect you with the presentation. So this is for today. We have another.
Sir, your screen is visible, sir.
Yes, madam. I'm just changing it to a full screen. Yes. So hope now the screen is visible in full mode. Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes. So today's session will be more focused towards how we can draft the whole proposal for funding. Very much basic building block for any beginner. When I say beginner, it is the one who has just completed his PhD and ready to take a new initiative in his domain. At the same time, this entire session, I'll be covering my own examples, how I could able to leverage myself from a freshman research scholar to like to certain extent. Now it's almost like 5 to 6 years. I am supposed to complete my PhD. So 2020 I completed. So it's the 5th year currently, wherein within this 5 years I could able to say that I could able to justify to the extent like whatever the proposals I apply, at least 50% of the hits are accurate. What do I mean by 50% of the hits? Let us say in a year we apply around 10 proposals. In that, I will be able to get at least 5. So it's a good ratio in terms of getting the proposals accepted. So without wasting much of the time, let us jump into the steps, what you are supposed to understand and how to do that. So for beginners, anyway, this is a very much required thing. For those who are at the middle level in terms of their domain wise, they have achieved to certain extent, but they want to achieve a higher accolades by going with a high end funding in terms of the uh, amount, I mean to say. So this can be something like you are going beyond 1 crore funding. So my early career researchers, I would suggest you should not target more than 1 CR upfront, because you have to have some 1 or 2 small scale fundings being accepted first, so that you can take the next big leap in the later part of it. So what exactly you have to start with? So the very first thing I would suggest is, what is that topic you are trying to work on? And if you have identified the topic, does it have a novelty actually? When I say novelty, it should lead you to a patent, first of all. I repeat again, when I say novelty, it should lead you to a patent. And remember, nowadays, patent should not be only on paper, it should get translated into reality. That is the next goal which everyone has to think. And why you want it, why you want to work on this topic. Okay, because it should serve either to the end user as a society, or to a industry, or to in-house or nearby academic platform itself. So these things are a must before you choose a topic. And remember, these technologies are changing rapidly, so you should be able to get connected to that also. So once you identify, just try to check which is that suitable funding agency which I can bank on. When I say the funding agency, for example, I am currently in a working on a medical device development, and then I am applying for a, let us say, heavy industry company like Ministry of Heavy Industry. They also fund heavily, but having said that, they give funding only to a special purpose machines which are at a industry level, not for a medical device or development purpose. So for this, you have to identify exactly the ICMR, maybe Indian Council for Medical Research, or maybe connected to a sort of national health association, or even the NCH, or maybe even the NIMANS, or maybe even the DST to certain extent, or even DBT to certain extent. So these are the agencies which you have to upfront identify 3 to 4 in a list, and then you have to prioritize based on the dates and the deadlines. The next part is target funding source that has an interest in your organization and program. Usually for central government applications for funding, this does not hold good, because they might check in the backdrop from which institute or the affiliation the person like PI or a co-PI are applying. But having said that, they have a least importance in giving the value to the organization. I personally feel this might be helpful when you are going for a CSR funding. It's a corporate social responsibility funding, where exactly this matters a lot. But for rest of the things, it is purely your profile and the co-PI's profiles which matter a lot. Next point is, whether your proposal receives funding will depend on whether your purpose and goals closely match the priorities of granting agency. So I'm writing these points in a bullet wise, which gives you a complete indicators, like you have to run through the cycle. You cannot skip even a single a bullet point under this. So whenever you are drafting, at the outset, you have to understand what is the aim and goal of this proposal which I am drafting. So this should straightaway culminate into a national level mission, or it might be even an international level mission. So you have to make sure that you align with that requirement. Next, even if you have the most appealing research proposal in the world, if you don't send it to a right institution, which means here the granting agency or the appropriate funding agency, then you are unlikely to receive the funding. So it is as simple as that. It happens quite a lot when we are at a freshman level or at a beginner level. We tend to lose our patience and we start applying for several organizations straight away. So don't unnecessarily waste your time and effort. You have to concentrate, make sure that, let us say, if your area is semiconductor packaging material you are trying to develop now. So you have to go and sure shot, you have to hit it into the mighty agency only. What is that mighty? Ministry of Electronics and Information related only. Or else you can apply for some DST, or you can apply for DSIR. What is the DSIR? Department of Scientific and Industrial Relations, wherein now they are funding in nearly 50 lakh to crores together. If it is a translatory level kind of a work, definitely they will fund you without even a second thought. So, very important, you have to clearly set your roadmap or the goals. What are the current trends? So this we have already seen in the previous session, how the mega trends are shaping up and how I have to align with respect to those current trends and make this a workable model. So I said I will be sharing you with my own experience and my own example. So here I am sharing the process, how we worked out. So this was one of my funding through CSR initiative. So when I say CSR, it's a corporate social responsibility. I applied for a law foundation support team under Dassault System, which is the France-based company, which has a unit in Pune in India. So they focus on just a minute. They focus mainly on the 4 to 5 domains. Precisely, it should be connected to automotive sector, aerospace sector, or into medical domain, or into a biotech, or into a AI and ML. So these are the 5 main areas wherein they fund it up to 15 lakh, depending on the need and requirement. So this problem, my core area is materials. I work predominantly into biomedical and biomaterial domain. So many of you might be wondering, what is this ship horn? What he will gonna use it? These sheep horns, if you check from the slaughterhouses, they are thrown as a waste material. They are the leftover materials which will be there on earth till they deteriorate or decompose. So I took this as an example to understand its usage or utilization. Till date, only these horns were used as an artifacts, except the artifacts that too in very minimal number. But having said that, there is no other usage of these horns till date. So I went into this, and in our own place where I earlier worked in northern part of Karnataka, uh, from a city like Hubli, near to Dharwad, you might be well aware about. This per day, you will find nearly 1,000 to 2,000 sheep are slaughtered. Okay, so this we took it as an example to collect them and synthesize them and test its feasibility. When we tested, we found a lot of interesting facts. This is one proposal which came out of that, because you have seen a lot of horns are very robust and impact resistive in nature. So this is where we thought to use it as a bumper or a bonnet for a automotive vehicle. Why bumper or bonnet? Because bumper or bonnet, especially bonnet, is the third heaviest component in an automotive sector. After the IC engine and the chassis, the next part will be the bonnet, which is the heaviest. So you have to make sure that how to reduce the weight of the bonnet. So this was the initiation, something which, as a topic wise, I considered to understand the whole impact resistiveness of a material. For this is a leftover waste material which we wanted to explore. Now, coming to the literature survey from the background, right? You have to explore how are its availability, how are its overall bandwidth in terms of the raw material requirements. So before to that, I checked with the conditions like in accidents which are happening through road and transportation ministry. This was the data extracted from that, and you could able to see there is a quite a good number of road accidents happening every year, and this is rising year after year. Comparatively, in terms of the mortality rate, the mortality rate, no matter the accident number might be reducing, but the mortality rate is increasing heavily. So this was a concern we wanted to focus. And at the same time, when it was checked across the populations, we could able to sense Iran is in country wise data when we checked. So India is somewhere around the third or a fourth position. So this has created a lot of avenue for us to look into the limitations or the challenges what it has. So I am now coming to the second step or the second phase, you can say, wherein we would like to understand what are the current limitations, gaps, or challenges, or the restrictions which are there in that particular problem. So unless and until I know the gaps and the products, like using 3P analysis, which we studied yesterday. So I could not be able to look into the next step, right? So once you identify that, you try to negotiate in terms of the subject areas. Where are the heaviest fundings which have come in past 3 to 4 years? For example, if I am let us say material scientist or a material researcher, then I would like to see where are the avenues wherein I can put my efforts. Now I'm working current. I have showed this. This was a way back 2018 or 19, I can say. We initially started that proposal, and we got it in 2021. The whole project successfully completed. So I mean to say, if I propose the same problem now, I would have been straight away rejected. But the time when I proposed for that was 2019, 2020, somewhere. So that is where it was on a very peak note, wherein how to use the leftover materials. Still that exists. But having said that, now I would have more keen to push that towards something like a semiconductor material development, packaging material development. I could have considered that as a alternative application, maybe for a part of a medical application because we could able to find a lot of biocompatibility in that. So these are the ways how you have to manage the research into different diversifications. So I would suggest you should not only work in one particular domain. You have to diversify such that your research outcome, which has come through a PhD or per se by any other means, have to be taken to a level of funding only by diversifying, not being in one particular domain only. When I say that, we can even now look into the nanomaterial aspect and then see how it fits into my requirement of maybe quantum materials down the line, because quantum computing is heavily gaining a lot of impetus currently. So I would like to even look into the aspects at a nano to Armstrong level, how it works, right? What are the future plans of the funder? Funding agencies don't only fund it mere for the problem statement. They see how this will yield in terms of the benefits to the nation by and large, or society by and large, or a person by and large in the whole community. So all these aspects play a crucial role. Who are the decision makers or the assessors? Remember, the people who are considered as the reviewers for these funding proposals are the experts in that domain. So you can't even fool them, or you can't even give them wrong notions. The reviewer can able to diagnose or detect quite easily whether it is doable or not. So don't be under the impression that you are the smartest among the all when you are drafting a proposal. There are much more efficient and well experts who are there on the top, who will straight away see whether it is doable or not, whether it is feasible or not, whether it is manufacturable or not, whether it is compatible or not in terms of the human requirement. So all these aspects play a crucial role. What review processes do they follow? What groups are working in India and abroad in your area of research? Very important point, because reviewer, he will check principal investigator profile, he will check the co-principal investigator profile, he will check the collaborating institute, either it might be an industry or NGO or any R&D lab. They will cross-check all those people's credibility, their profile, their area, and you can't just simply add cluster of people and propose it. So that won't work. Every individual should be unique, and there should not be any redundancy, there should not be any duplicacy when you are proposing any kind of funding approvals, right? So they check thoroughly in that, and then they will make sure that the team is also well equipped to handle that, and they will check whether the PI or a co-PI have the facility to conduct this research or not. Okay, so you have to make sure that all these aspects are well ticked before you jump into the proposal drafting. What thrust areas the funding agency has identified? That's what, like past 3 to 4 years data, if you can gather. You go to DST portal, there is a past projects approved list you will find. In that you check randomly, you can check, you need not have to go deep into that, maybe based on the title, based on the area, whether it is physical science, engineering science, or bioscience. Based on that itself, you can able to differentiate how much is the fund allocated for each of these heads. So nowadays the focus is more towards the defense sector, because you have seen anytime the third world war is on the corner, so every country is fast forwarding their defense armaments, making sure that they are well equipped with this anytime for a war to happen. So, having said that, during the 2020s, there was a case scenario of just a minute. I'll close the window. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. The point here is you have to be thoroughly done a background study before you jump into any of the funding proposal drafting. So you have to do a thorough background study and then only you can start working. How different is the proposal being prepared from the others already under investigation? So you might not be able to see how and what title and the content people might have drafted and they are in investigation. But I would recommend you guys to keep continuously on a daily basis browsing in LinkedIn, because many people go through Instagram and Facebook and many other platforms, but LinkedIn is one very unique platform wherein you can even understand in your area, you can connect with people at the same time, you can understand which new funding provisions are there. Those all will be available. You have to follow those departments or even the top universities wherein some scientists who might have been working on your similar lines. So I even recommend you to get connected through ResearchGate, which is another interesting web page wherein you will get good number of people who are working in the similar domain, and at the same time try to explore all these social medias wherein recent ANRF, most of the advertisements they are doing it in LinkedIn itself. So there is a webinar session on 30th of October, this tomorrow itself, on Maha. They have opened a new funding, which is again a consortia wherein they are giving a fund of up to 30 crore, and it can go up to even 50 crore depending on the area or the problem which you want to work. So LinkedIn is the best platform to explore the recent advertisements which are there. Still, why do you want it? End of the day, when you are looking out for any funding, what made you to get this? So you want to uh, uh, create your own like area, or I can say the passion, or with interest you want to work. All these aspects matter a lot because people lose or tend to lose interest after their PhD. But in fact, after PhD only you have to gain the momentum and do wonders in your area where you have working. So how will you convince the funding body about the present proposal? So probably you will not be able to physically or face to face interact with any of the reviewers. So your writing content itself should talk that language and it should communicate such that they should be able to give you the approval. So it should be with justification, with full proof. Like, how are you going to do this? What are the outcomes of it? How it will benefit the end user? All these things should be crystal clear. And also the budget should also is one very important parameter. It should not be too high, it should not be too low. It should be justifying your amount of work you want to carry in within the purview of the proposal. So I said about the raw material with respect to my problem, right? So we find this interesting breed called Deccan breed. Okay, the name itself suggests Deccan, so it is Deccan-based area, which is more likely in the Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. So this breed has more than 4.4 million population as per census 2007. Because after that they have not done any census for this breed. So there is a huge population in terms of that. The only worrying factor is people are not able to use that in a much better way. It is being thrown as a waste. Now, coming to the third phase of it, the quality of any research project or a proposal improves by having the subject expert on board, and it also makes acceptance of grants easier. So before you start drafting any proposal, I would suggest you to interact with people who might have already got the funding, okay, and also who are pretty good, experienced or well exposed in the area where you are working. So it might be your own supervisor, or it might be some outside institute experts. You have to interact, you have to connect, you have to get to know what is that unique thing which you have to bring in your draft proposal, so that it makes a lot of value to the reviewer. The availability of the facility for the conduct of research in the department and institution should be ascertained before planning the project. So I said this earlier, they will check whether you can able to do it within the premises, or if you want to get it done outside, it should be on the cost of testing, on the cost of vendor development. Nowadays the machine procurement, especially the uh, uh, costs more than 25 lakhs wherever the machine comes in that zone. The Especially the DST, I have seen quite a lot of time. DST will always try to negotiate in terms of the machine or equipment. They won't give that much easily equipment for the principal investigator, unless and until they see uh, there is a dearth of that equipment. There is no such equipment within the vicinity of 100-kilometer radius, or even there is no such CSIR or IIT or NIT labs within that region. If they found any such, they will ask you guys to go there and get it tested, or you can give it to them. They will give you the developed thing. So this is something like on a vendor support system you can work. So very important to understand the facility what we have. Interdepartmental, interinstitutional collaborations are the key to performing good research. Now, except early career grant, which will going to come shortly under ANRF, I repeat again, except early career grant, which we call it as ECG under DST. Now it has moved to ANRF. Rest all, most of the things will require a co-PI. So when you have a co-PI, you have to connect with interdisciplinary teams. You have to connect with multi-institutional teams. You have to connect with people of highest accolades. Then only the weightage will enhance, and then you have all that right to get that acceptance. Okay. So this is a simple methodology which I narrated. to show them how I would be able to work on the whole material. So this is a typical experimental methodology and simulation methodology. Uh, and I have not used any graphical AI tool here. It's a simple PPT which can show the justification of my work, wherein every reviewer will be more keen to understand whether your work is analytical, whether your work is experimental, whether your work is simulation. So I expect any of these two should be there in your work. You can't just talk about analytical. When I say analytical, those who are mathematical background, who want to develop a mathematical relation, empirical relation, right? So those are analytical forms of developing. Even that is pretty important, I say, but you can't just go with this as a possible methodology. It should be justified or well like defended by other two methods. I does not say that you have to go with all the three. If you have all the three, that I think will be the deadliest combination, wherein you try to give a correlation between experimental, simulation, analytical. But within the purview of a proposal, at times we might fall short. So at least two should be there to correlate or compare your entire validation process. So either simulation analytical or experimental simulation or analytical experimental, whichever is convenient to you, you try to make use of that. And it should be explicitly, clearly mentioned out. So you can see here all these steps are given in a very crisp and clear manner. What is that? I would like to do it. Next, fourth step, very important. Once the methodology you are finalizing, it should be substantiated by a budget proposal. The budget should not be too much to quote or too lower to quote, because you have to remember the proposals you submit today, you can expect the funding can happen after bare minimum of 4 to 5 months. Minimum I am talking about, that too in ANRF. In ANRF, you can get in 4 months' time the acceptance or rejection. But having said that, DST used to take almost 8 to 10 months. So you have to add 10 to 15% additional budget by quoting on the total budget. For example, your budget is 10 lakh coming out, you have to quote at least 11.5 to 12 lakh, because by the time it gets accepted, you receive the fund, it would have been 1 year got over, or maybe now it has reduced to 6 months time, I can say. So in the 6 months time, the rates of those components or equipments might have shooted up. So this 15 to 20% additional budget, you have to keep it precisely for this. Planning out the objectives, preferably not more than 4. Why not more than 4? Most of the cases you will have 3 year project work, the duration of the project, which can usually it can be 2 to 3 years usually. So each objective should be able to workable under an year or so. So having said that, 3 is the best preferred, but if you are not able to convincingly cover the objectives, then you have to go with max to max 4 objectives. It should not be more than that. Otherwise, they will think that this project might not be able to complete within the stipulated time. So try to frame the objectives such that they are at least should not be more than 4. Okay. Study design should include details about the type of study, methodology, sampling, blinding, inclusion and exclusion criteria, outcome measurements, and statistical analysis. Each of these parameters are very much essential because any data which I am quoting is based on something called as CAGR. What is CAGR? Compound annual growth rate. So what is the compound annual growth rate of this particular area, and how the study is being done, whether it is a sampling based method, or it is a direct sampling, variable sampling, or indirect sampling. Means, are you going to the customer end who is using that and then taking the data, or you are doing it on a blind condition? When I say blind condition, I am not visiting to the customer end. I am taking the data which is there in the backdrop. What do you mean by backdrop? Which is something like in the repository, wherein the industries or the institutes or the ministries have kept the data on a database management system. For example, I talked about a road transportation ministry. So they keep on accumulating the data and gathering it in a database, which will be there for everyone's usage. Anytime I can take that. So it's an indirect data, and I can rely on that because it's a ministry based. Likewise, you have to think about NIH, National Institution of Health, or maybe AIMS data, or it can be World Economic Forum data. Likewise, there are so many platforms through which when you get the data, it is reliable. Okay. And at the same time, inclusion and exclusion criteria. What is that I want to consider in this? Probably when you take the data, you will not be able to consider all of them, right? For example, I quoted about the accident data, correct? In accident data, there were so many things which were mentioned, but I precisely took it related to my domain, my area, and how I can justify that. The justifiable parameter should also be linked to that. Okay. Outcome measurements should also be part of it. Like you will be giving them or a reviewer a know-how, like how you are going to measure the outcome. Finally, any statistical tools which you use will have a higher weightage. Remember, I said about experimental, analytical, and simulation. Apart from this, you can even rely on one more parameter called as statistical data. So the statistical data is also very crucial. It is better to give an abstract of data available in the literature, what you want to follow, and how innovative it is. So any proposal, you know that they start with the background. So the background will be the first thing which they expect. After that, they will ask you to write down the summary. Summary is one thing, or in some of the cases, it is called as a brief description. They call it as a brief description. This should be less than 200 words, wherein you give them the know-how related to how exactly this will going to work. Okay, with complete innovativeness or inventive steps which are there in that. That should be part of it. Why? Sorry. Why you prefer this particular methodology? You have to justify. As I said, there might be many other ways to solve this. We are currently solving through simulation, right? So you have to justify that by adding one more methodology called as either experimental or analytical. I justify by correlating or comparing. If possible, give the schematic chart or a flow chart or a flow diagram illustrating the methodology. The way how I have showcased, you can show the graphical abstract kind of a thing, which can help the reader or a reviewer to quickly understand what is that he or she is trying to do it. Yes. So these are typical objectives which I set in my work where I got the 12.3 lakh funding to identify the structural pattern from nature to meet the requirement of impact resistance. So my first and foremost point was to understand the impact resistance. Why I took that as a parameter? Because you know that these sheep horns were being subjected for quarreling. They hit with their heads in some of the festival seasons. They were asked to quarrel each other, fight each other. While doing that, they hit with the head. So when you see that with that much amount of impact, still the horns were being able to be intact. That gave me a lot of interest to understand the strength of that. To create an alternative novel design structure for high impact resistive application. So now this structure, what is there currently in any of the designs, does not fully or substantially justify its efficacy. There is always a scope for improvement when design comes into picture. So that is where we quoted this high impact resistive application. And the last point was to test the feasibility aspect of design and material for real time embedding into a vehicle frontal system. I'm not quoting the component yet. Remember, it might differ when we go with the real-time testing. That's why I kept it like a generic. It might work for bumper or it might work for bonnet. So I have opened it as a generic statement. So this is something, strategy which you have to choose, because when you don't know upfront, you have to quote it such that any one of the component you could able to justify. The next phase is the budget planning, very important. Do not be over ambitious, instead be more realistic. Very important. How to get the clarity about it? You have to search through India Mart, you have to search through GEM portal, you have to search through Amazon. All these areas will give you the exact prices. You boost it by 10 to 15% to the actual value. Okay. Under this, the first step is to find out what is the monetary limit. What is the monetary limit for the grant proposal, and what are the fund requirements for the proposed project? So you have to identify what is the limitation with which the grant proposal is being targeted. And having said that, I talked about the recent ANRF Maha, which gives 30 crore, or it can extend worst case up to, or the best case up to 50 crore, which means I can go for 50 crore. Having said that, I should not target 50 crore now. I have to make sure that at what level my work can be realized. If it is coming somewhere around 5 crore, I should be able to only keep evidence with respect to that and go with the proposal. It should not be more than that. Next. If these do not match, even a good project may be rejected based on the budgetary limitation. See, in countries like India, wherein all the reviewers are given a choice, not the chance, they are given a choice to select as many proposals as possible. Okay, so if you go straight away with the highest budget, there are highly likely chances that your proposal might get rejected. Having said that, if it has that much proof or evidence to quote, this will be a world-class level work, then they might fund. They will, before they fund, they will see the profiles of all the investigators. So all these things matter a lot. Okay. Next, the budgetary layout should be prepared with prudence, and only the amount necessary for the conduct of research need to be asked. You should not ask unnecessary things, especially people will go for overheads in too much, contingency too much, travel grant too much. So all these aspects have to be taken to a lowest, and they should be 10% of the total proposed budget. Okay. The administrative cost to conduct the research project should also be included in the proposal. This administrative cost is all about how your institution would like to take that up. Okay, so this usually will be 10% of the cost. The administrative cost varies depending on the type of research project. As the funding, the grant increases, this value will also steeply increase. So this is a typical funding which I personally proposed for the same work which I showed. So the concept testing, prototype building and all, we did it earlier. So this was the base level, and experimental test we conducted through ASTM standards. All mechanical properties, physical properties we tested. So we quoted 1.8 lakh. Remember, the number of samples should be very important. You have to take at least 6 specimens. Remember, all those who are testing their specimens, whether it is medical or it is engineering applications, you have to have at least in medical 3 specimens, for engineering minimum 6 specimens, because the properties might change, the significances might change depending on the environment. So that's why you have to keep an eye on number of samples to be tested. So it should be minimum 6. You have to quote all the cost pertaining to that. Then the additive manufacturing part, which I emphasized, would be somewhere around 3 lakhs. This is for testing, not buying any equipment. And Law Foundation does not give for any equipment. They only fund it for testing, validation, and implementation of the work. AR/AI testing, this is frontal crash test, side crash test, side frontal test. All these are as per Automotive Research Association of India. As per them, the cost is around 3.9 lakh. So completely it used to be around 12.3 lakh. So this is how the most realistic way how you can justify is you quote all those testing units. In fact, you can quote here maybe the cost per head, how much it can be, so that it can be justifiable to anybody. Okay. Next, the final major goal here is research fund can generally be used for the following requirement, but not limited to these. It is helpful to know the subheads under which budgetary planning is done. So you have to quote each one of them meticulously, how much you are trying to divide. Recurring grants involve, many of us might be having a confusion between recurring and non-recurring. Recurring are those which are on a continuous basis. Non-recurring are those which are like once for all, maybe equipments, or maybe once for all, maybe in a year you might go with a maintenance. Maintenance will all again can be in the recurring itself, but equipments or books or once for all buying things will all be in the non-recurring. Books, journals, seminar, conference, workshops, service charges, publication charges, and miscellaneous all can fall into the category of recurring. Okay, especially this is you might have on a frequent basis. The non-recurring grants, equipment, laboratory infrastructure, all those will be under that. Most important in the 5th step is that every item mentioned under recurring and non-recurring grants needs a proper justification. You have to give a substantial evidence why it is for so much cost. If it is possible, you give a breakup also. It might help. Next, under non-recurring, identify the usage per hour basis, how much it will be costing, especially for a 3D printers, because most of the electronics and computer science engineers, you might be going for a 3D printing of the envelope of the kit. Any kit, if you are developing or a hardware you are developing, you need a envelope that can be built through a 3D printer. So these 3D printers will be costed per hour basis. Okay, so that's why hourly basis equipment usage can also be billed under this. Availability of the same for others, both within or outside the host institution. You can quote if you are getting done it inside by some other institute because you have to pay back to them, or else to other outside institute itself, you can pay back to them as well. The investigators have to convince the expert committee that no such sophisticated equipment is available in the radius of about 100 to 150 kilometers. This is the new norm which has come in recent days, because they will check any IITs, IISc or NITs, or even central universities are there in the region where your institute is situated. They will check and then they will allocate that equipment or not. Okay. So this is a typical milestone which you can set it up front for 1 year or 2 year or 3 year, depending on the requirements. Okay. So comparison 1 to 2 months, CAD model 1 to 2 months, modification of optimization 2 months, feasibility, real time testing 3 to 6 months at ARAI. So all these things will be depending on your bandwidth you can give it. So finally, do not show that the equipment proposed is just to equip the investigator's laboratory or institution. This can be taken as a consultancy model also, wherein you are giving it a internal revenue generation out of that, so that institution will also get benefited at the same time. When DST or AICT or such funding agencies prefer you guys to have that kind of a consultancy being served. Time frame to complete the project, since in some institutions or individual cases, the first 2 years are spent only to recruit the research staff and procure equipment. Only limited time is available for research, and such things should not repeat. Many a times, this research staff or procurement of equipment, they keep on pushing it to till the last year. But having said that, last year such things are not a concern, especially for funding agencies. They will straightaway outrightly negotiate with that, because your job is with respect to, many a times I myself faced, you should not ask for a research staff. In fact, as a researcher, you only have to spend that, means you only have to work, and then you will not be getting any such benefit. But having said that, very few cases wherein a research staff is given a research assistance like JRF, SRF, will be given preference, especially in DST. Once the research funding is granted, the fund allocated has to be expended as planned under budgetary planning at the earliest, with transparency, integrity, fairness, and competition, which are the cornerstones of public procurement and should be remembered while spending grant money. It is advised to have a separate account for that and then maintain that on a continuous basis. Keep a track of it, where it is like there might be some amount of additional interest gained by the fund account. So you have to keep showcasing them to the funding agency after every quarter. So you should not spend too much on a freebies kind of a thing. You have to keep monitoring the whole project on a transparent basis. Year-wise planning and progress expected are to be projected graphically in a standard and convincing manner. Submission of the annual report and audited expenditure statements are to be carried out on time. So all these are the check boxes which are a must once you get the funding. Okay. So this is the outcome expected out of my work, what I have shared earlier. So the last thing, I think there is some typo error here. The final stage of the project and will be something like, once the research project is completed, the completion report has to be sent to the funding agency without any delay. Otherwise, they might not give you a successful report completion certificate. Okay. So accomplishment, all these details have to be added to that, whether it's a paper publication, patent file, or audit statements, all should be part of that. Most funding agencies also require periodic progress report. That's what I said. The quarterly review will be happening. So they would like to check that through a Gantt chart. So always have that as a showcasing tool. The completion report has two parts, one as a pre-submission and the final submission. Pre-submission will have only the reports pertaining to the expenses being done. The final submission will be along with the report and the publications, patents, and then audited statements. The first part includes, as I said, so complete report, which you can this happens to be varying with respect to different agencies. Some agencies will upfront ask for a scientific report. Some agencies will ask upfront for expenditure report. So it depends in cases to cases basis, right? Case to case basis, it keeps on changing. Was it according to budgetary layout or there was any deviation? They will also check whether you have overshooted or underutilized. And underutilized is to a certain extent acceptable, but overutilization might be justifiable. So you have to justify those things with proof. Any unutilized fund has to be returned to the funding agency. As I said, underutilized can be refunded anytime. Ideally, the allotted fund should be post audited by a professional CA. Okay. Audit report along with the original bills of expenditure should be preserved for the future requirement, because they will be checking through the any discrepancies or something will be checked by the auditing people. Okay. So I would like to just quickly run through the way how you can represent in a much better form to people with respect to what is that you can bring in on board, right? So here it was more connected to digital learning. So I showed with the graphical representation. What is the significance of the project? How it will benefit to society by and large, business by and large, and technologically by and large, right? So finally, the challenges. This was the template which was shared by Dassault System Law Foundation. So we have to go by the template which will be provided by the funding agencies. So this is again part of the funding agency. This was also part of that. And next is quickly I'll run through some of the funds which I got, so that you will be able to understand how you can approach. My first funding was with respect to 16 lakh in national health science, wherein it was more connected to a medical device development. And these were some of the other funds which I got it later. I completed my PhD by 2020. You can see from the final year of my PhD itself, I started working on my proposal writing. We got a good number of fundings from AICT also. AICT gave research promotion scheme funding. And this was connected to Garden Crest seed. We converted that to a biolubricant, which was funded for 14.75 lakh. This Dassault system I showed you just now. And then a startup grant. See how your research can elevate to a next level is the example of what I am showing you right now. So the big sheep horn has given me a lot of value addition to my research, wherein we are using this as a blade, a TBC material, thermal barrier coating material, wherein through a startup I could able to get a fund of 15 lakh. This is one of the prestigious Karnataka government elevate funding. And recently, when I came to Manipal, we got this 1 crore funding, which is related to a device which we are developing for a non-invasive point of care testing, especially for potentially malignant disorder for oral cancer related. So health related, I think there is always a scope, and they will be quick to provide you the results also. This ICMR, I have to say at this point of time, they gave the result within 3 months. So you can understand how quickly they are doing that. And there is a need of this, especially wherever there is a need and which has a highest requirement, they will be quickly providing you the whole details. So this is how I wrote the whole thing. You can see summary, how it should be less than 250 words. You have to talk in terms of the global perspective and then come down to the statistics. How much percentage is the current issue? How are you going to solve that? What are the products which are available currently? How are you going to solve that? So this should be the overall summary which you have to work it out. Then they might ask you to, this is the ICMR template which I am showing you currently, a problem statement of up to 500 words they will ask, wherein you have to cite the previous articles or even patents, and then give an analogy how you will be justifying your work. Then there is something called as a rationale, which is a common across DST or even other funding agencies. They expect this to be in 250 words. Then hypothesis, which is less than 100 words, especially medical applications, they seek for a statistical sampling. How many samples you want to test it, how you want to do the validation, whether it's in vivo, in vitro, all those they will be expecting. So the objectives, you can see here, we have quoted 3 objectives. Design and develop non-invasive device, and then validate the device with histopathological method, and then make a portable, aesthetically appealing, ergonomically finished, compatible, future compatible device. So this is a sampling which we are working with the different institute also under this. So that's how you have to narrate it, right? Next, expected outcome, future plan, whether the study is going to generate new intellectual property. If yes, then you will have a higher value addition. Timeline, you can add a Gantt chart. Preliminary work done by the PI, they will check even what is the preliminary work you have done. That also matters. Skill and expertise level of a research team. So you have to showcase both the members. Here we had one medical practitioner as well as I was a investigator together. So this is how you can see here. All these things will go hand in hand. And institute support facility, what is that? They will be giving laboratory facility, what you have, how many months, 36 months, the investigator, co-investigator. So this is a breakup of the whole 1 crore. We allocated research associate, statistician, components, how much non-contract ultrasound, circuit design, testing tools, prototype design, 6 lakh, prototype manufacturing, high capacity computation device. We asked for a bio 3D printer with 45 lakh, which is currently at our end in Mahe, and testing and validation equipment. So likewise, this is how you have to break that down into recurring and non-recurring form. So with this, I'll just open for any sort of questions pertaining to this session.
Sir, there are few questions in the chat box.
Yeah, I am just
I'll
looking
read out
into
the
that.
questions, sir.
Yes, madam.
Many have actually they have kept their details.
Okay.
Sir, one of the question is, I am Dr. A. Pramod Kumar, sir. Any criteria or tips to get project sanction? Similarly, how to prepare the budget for different project calls?
Yeah. Pramod sir, I would suggest if you can check few of the samples of proposals which are being done by any of your seniors, or maybe you, if you don't have such currently available document with you, you can even look into the repository of Department of Science and Technology, or even DSIR, or even METI, or even ICMR. They have already the repository of the reports which have been successfully completed, right? So, wherein you will get a complete clarity about how exactly the execution is being done. So, even the proposal they would have given in that. So, that will set a tone for your future proposal drafting. That is my point. When it comes to getting sanctioned, it's all based on how good you are with respect to your area and how unique you are proposing, which probably might not be there in others' proposal. Okay, so it's a win-win situation. Every reviewer will be keen to approve those things which can go to a translatory work. Nowadays, the early days are gone wherein they used to fund it only for a TRL level 3 to 6, but now they have moved out of that bandwidth. They are now keen to focus on TRL level 6 to 9. This is where the product has to get commercialized. It should go as a startup, and the investigator should launch his own venture. Or else, if you are not interested to even take up the initiative in the startup or entrepreneurship journey, I would recommend you can go with the technology transfer as well. So there will always be a possibility, but you have to show that how are you going to do this whole execution with the systematic planning. Okay. Next question, madam.
Sir, there are no questions, but I'll read out
Okay.
few feedback, sir.
Yeah.
One of the participant texted
Yeah.
that this session is really informative and
Yeah.
motivated. Valuable session.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
informative
Thank you.
session.
Thank you very much.
Even
Look forward
yesterday's
for
session
any
also, sir.
questions or queries. You can just send them the email ID of mine anytime. They can post me any other queries or questions or anything as that as such with respect to funding proposal or any queries. I am open for discussion. Okay,
Sure, sir.
they
I'll
can
share your
share
email
me the
in
mail
the groups.
so that I can respond it, madam. Yeah.
Sir, there is one question. How to quote the expected budget related to the proposal in a healthcare domain if our research area is related to a new disease prediction, sir?
Okay. Again, it depends on how the products are currently in the market pertaining to that. For example, I am talking about a non-invasive sugar identifying device, let us say. So there is no such sugar identifying non-invasive method probably till date. People have coming out with a proposal, but you have to see in countries such as India, what is the expectation? So, what is the limitation with which a buyer can go with the product? Okay, so we have seen in recent days how these pregnancy kit have come, right? So it is cost effective, and at the same time, on a real time basis, you can able to identify the same. So on a similar note, as a researcher, you have to identify what is that uniquely you want to make it. So for that matter, even the pads, how it was being developed, right? Early days, it used to cost 35 to 40 rupees. Now these pads are hardly 1 rupee from the Pradhan Mantri medical shops, right? So all this is possible because they have almost seen how to cut short the cost without compromising on the quality, right? The Janaushadhi Kendras, you will find a lot of these devices also currently, which are built indigenously, right? So I suggest you have to see currently at a global front how is the cost, and Indian perspective how much I can take it to a lowest level, because it should be affordable to a common man. That should be the final goal when you are building any product. Let us say if it is a something like a non-invasive, it might be costly. I totally agree. But if it is a like diagnostic device, prognostic device, which is of a affordable cost, which can be developed, you can do that on a lowest rate, right? So hope I have answered the question.
So there is one more question.
Yes, madam.
How to select the topic for research proposal and how much time it will take to write an effective proposal?
Yeah, maybe it depends on the like funding agency for which you are applying. Maybe now I'll just show you that. Let me just share that so that you can able to understand. See, there is a recent fund. It's better to have one group wherein you can continuously getting the information related to these fundings. Okay, so even we get from our own like institute. So likewise, it would be easy for you to identify and sorry for that, I'm not able to download this. Just a minute. Or else I will show it in the mobile itself. Okay, can you see this? Yes, yeah, now I can able to open it. So can you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
So this is something like AI for Science and Engineering mission, wherein it is in partnership with India AI, mission of MITI, scientific departments like DRDO, Ministry of Electronics and Science, DBT, along with Gates Foundation, Sarvam AI, non-government partners. So this ANRF, I said in the beginning yesterday itself, nearly 14,000 crore is being allocated from central government. Rest 36,000 crore is being allocated from private players. So majority is from private. So that's why this time you are finding a lot of non-IITs are getting the funding purely because based on the merit, based on the novelty, based on the quality of the proposal, everyone are capable to get that. So having said that, you have to keep an eye on these things. This, in fact, has come even in the LinkedIn. So what I mean to say here is you have to keep a track of all these things before you start jumping into the drafting aspect. So what I say is on a daily basis, keep a routine habit of surfing with respect to these proposals, and then they will be providing 15 to 30 days timeline for every proposal. So you will get a sufficient amount of time to work on, or else you can even keep your entire proposal drafted ready. Whenever such kind of a option comes to you, you can straight away go ahead with the submission.
Sir, thank you, sir. And one more question.
Yes, madam.
The accreditations and NIRF ranking impact on, like, means do the accreditations and NIRF rankings impact on the proposal selection.
Yeah, definitely.
Polish
See,
credentials otherwise.
yeah, definitely. See, the point here is, many a times the NBA, NAC visits, whoever comes, they will ask your fundings, how many fundings you got, how many patents you have, how many technology transfers you have, how are the consultancy works going on, what is the research publication data you have. So all these parameters are quite crucial. I personally feel those who have got the funding will always have a value addition in any institute if you go, right? You will be flown with a red carpet. They will recruit you with ease without even checking the other things, because it is self-explanatory. If you got a funding, that itself shows that your caliber, your capability, because you have already passed through this whole phase of a difficult situation, right? Getting one fund itself is not that easy. Okay, so the people who have got that, they could able to understand. So I suggest you have to hit hard. Till now, you believe it or not, this year by October month end, I have submitted almost 7 to 8 proposals with which are worth more than 10 crore funding. So we don't know ourselves where we get shortlisted. Okay, so you have to keep on hitting the your area based, funding agency based proposals. Okay, keep applying. You will get one or the other, definitely. So initially you start with the CSR funding. That is my advice. Why CSR fund? Because they are easy to get. If industry rapport is there, and then if you are working towards the social concern problems, then they will be able to fund you straight away. So you need not have to worry much for whether you have a profile, whether you have a H index, whether you have the research rigor or a caliber, right? All those things are secondary. They will be more keen how you can execute in terms of the product and give it back to the society. Okay, so CSR fund, you can target those who are the beginners who want to get at least some seed fund column is filled in your profile. Then you go with the higher level.
Sir, one more query is on
Yes, madam.
how we will represent graphics abstract.
Yeah, graphical abstract is something like gives you a complete holistic overview about the work what you are trying to do. So whether you use AI tool or you do it on your own, it is left to you how you would like to take it up. But I suggest uh, before you jump into that, you should have a clear cut idea about what is that I will going to do under this, what are my outcomes, how am I going to execute this whole process using a set of procedure, right? So the way how I showed you with the experimental and simulation data, how it ends up with the comparative study. So the same can be even shown by your project with respect to your domain-based problem statement.
Sir, for 2D Innovation Hub from ANRF proposal, what is the minimum number of collaborations required?
I did not get. What is that? For 2D Innovation Hub.
2D Innovation Hub from ANRF proposal,
Okay.
what is the collaboration, sir? Minimum, how many collaborations are
Okay,
required for
okay, I got
ANRF?
it. It is a 2D material actually. So this especially looks out for variable electronics, especially for a flexible electronics, or you can even say material which can be converted into film-like structure. Okay, so here you might require maybe those who are currently from the electronics background. You might have to seek some collaboration from semiconductor industries, or even with maybe CMTI, Central Manufacturing Technology Institute, or MITI, because they are working on the semiconductor devices currently with the packaging material. and Mighty is working predominantly. If you want the private players such as Lam Research currently working on it, Applied Materials is working on it, Tata is working on it, and you have even Moschip, the startup company, is currently working on it. Even Keynes Technology is working on it. So these are some of the companies which are keenly working towards the 2D materials for flexible electronics application.
Yes, sir, we will
Yeah,
come to the end of the session, sir. I think
sure,
we
madam.
have taken all the questions.
Yeah,
So thank you for highlighting the importance of LinkedIn. Maybe LinkedIn is not only for to connect to the people,
yes,
but also to know the recent advertisements from various departments.
yes,
And finally, sir, the main takeaway of the session is the project proposal cannot be written in one night or a week or a month. So
yeah,
what I mean to say is we cannot start after we see the call for proposal.
yeah,
Many of us, even sometimes even me, after I see a proposal, then I sit and chalk down something.
yeah.
I try
See,
to put it in.
proposals are keep coming. You have to keep ready your proposal. Maybe you can alter slightly here and there, and then you can go to the required funding agency. So that's one more way how you can make yourself ready for numerous funding agencies for applying.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
such an elaborative and detailed presentation.
Yeah, welcome, madam. Look forward for any sort of queries or questions coming in the
Yes, sir. I will
days to come.
definitely
Yeah.
forward the
Yeah.
questions to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for all of you.
Thank you,
See you.
sir.
Have a nice day. Bye.